guys, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the things I've learned project panning. I've been on my project panning journey for a year now, and recently I posted a why I project pan video, and I asked you guys if you wanted to see some of the things I've learned over my journey, and a lot of you guys said yes, so I'm really excited to be sharing with you some of my thoughts and some of the things I've learned over the last year. I feel like I have a lot more to learn for sure. I think that my journey of project panning is nowhere near complete. I don't know if it's ever something that I'm going to give up, but I definitely have learned a lot in this past year, and I want to share with you guys what I've learned. Definitely in the comments below, share with me what you guys have learned if I don't touch on any of those sorts of things. And yeah, let's just hop right into it. The first thing I think is very obvious to a lot of people who actively project pan, but this is something that was not apparent to me at all before I started this journey, and that is that it takes so long to use up an item after you've hit pan on it. I used to be really afraid of finishing up a product. I would hit pan on it and then it would kind of get stored away in my collection while I found an alternative for it, or I started using something else within my collection. I would move on to something else comparable or try to find something comparable because I was so afraid that it was going to be done soon and I wouldn't have an alternative for it. That wasn't for everything. Like powder foundations, I would just use them up in their entirety. But that was basically it. Like when it came to bronzers, blushes, eyeshadows, I would get very afraid after I hit pan and I'd think, okay, I have to save this. It's either for special occasions or it's something that I need to keep in mind that I'm going to repurchase, or I'm going to find something that is very similar to it. And then I'd go on this journey of finding all of the alternatives to this product, and yet I would still have so much product left in that pan, and I've still not yet finished so many of the items that I hit pan on and got afraid to continue using. So they're things that I'm going to focus on in the future, but they're going to still take me forever to use up, and I did not realize that at all before I started project panning. The second point definitely goes hand in hand with that, and that is that it actually feels really good to use a product up. And I think that that's something that I never used to feel. Like I would finish up foundations, I'd finish up concealers, and like I said, like powder foundations or setting powders, but it really feels good to use up more of the color items. Like I just recently finished my second ever eyeshadow pan. Like I used it up entirely, and it feels so good because one, you get so much of your money's worth by using it, but two, like you really saw how long and how much effort it really takes to use up a product. And I think that it feels really, really like a good accomplishment, especially if you do have like a larger makeup collection like I do, or not really larger, but where you have a lot of items and they don't often get rotated through. It just feels really, really good to actually use something up and get your money's worth. The next point is something that I really feel like took me a long time to figure out, and that is that I should really only pan realistic items. I originally, in my first project pan, I put like an entire Cheekathon blush palette into that project. I had a purple ColourPop eyeshadow, and yes, those things challenged me, but they didn't help me, like putting them in a project did not help me actually use those items up. If anything, it made me really afraid of project panning, and it made me feel like project panning was really daunting. So if you are maybe more of a seasoned project panner or you're more adventurous with your makeup, then definitely those sorts of things would work for you. But for someone like me, and maybe someone starting out, it makes more sense to put in things like your favorite bronzer or your favorite setting powder, or something that you know that realistically you can use every single day, so that you can really see that progress happening, and it really keeps you driven and motivated to continue project panning. Not everything is worth panning. Like I own so many red and bold lipsticks, and as much as I don't want to see them go to waste, there is no point in me trying to pan a product like that because I'm not going to wear it every single day, and then it's just going to feel like a chore when I do use it, and I'm not going to enjoy the process of using it, or I'm not going to enjoy having it in my collection because it's just going to feel like a chore. So not everything that you own is worth project panning, but there definitely is a place for certain products within projects, I think, personally, or at least within my own experience of this past year. So the next point is something that I think is really important to realize, and that is that everyone project pans differently. because we all have different end goals, because we all have different makeup styles, we all pan differently and we all pan at our own pace. I think there's nothing wrong with taking 6 months to hit pan on a product if you have so many other items within your collection and you are rotating through items. But I also don't think that there's anything wrong with hitting pan on a product within a month because you are only using that item exclusively. There is absolutely no rules to project panning. It's just a matter of how you want to see the progress, how you choose to use your makeup collection and the products that you have, and there's nothing wrong with anyone's style whatsoever. Whether you want to weigh your products, whether you want to update every 2 weeks, whether you want to declutter most of the items that you choose to project pan, there is absolutely no right or wrong to project panning at all, and that's a really amazing thing. And I think that goes hand in hand with another point that I want to make. I was going to keep this to the end, but I really want to say it here, and that is that this is a phenomenal community. Everyone supports each other so much because we are all on the same journey of either consuming less or being more creative with our makeup or being more informed with our purchases or just to have fun with the makeup that we own. We're all on the same journey even though we all have different goals or different reasons that we did it, and everyone supports each other, and I think that that is the most amazing thing about doing project pans. And that is something that I did not realize until I started my journey, and I think it's so cool. It's been a lot of fun meeting people who are on the same sort of journey, no matter what their intentions are, no matter how they choose to project pan, and that is such a special thing. Another really important thing that I've learned over this past year is that project panning isn't limiting. I feel like I sort of touched on this a little bit, but because we all have our own different ways of project panning and our own different reasons of project panning, there is no reason that project pan has to be limiting to anyone. I feel like if you get bored of a product, there's nothing wrong with just choosing to not use it for a few weeks or a few months and then coming back to it. There's nothing wrong with still purchasing products while project panning and then using the products that are in your project pan alongside your new purchases and finding amazing color combinations or really finding out really cool ways to use the items within your collection alongside those newer purchases or the other items that you have but you're not focusing on. So project panning is not limiting at all. I was a little hesitant at first or a little bit afraid at first that it might be a limiting experience and I felt like I might not be as creative with makeup, but actually, in fact, I've become so much more creative with makeup over this past year, I think, than I ever used to be. And that's something that I've definitely learned this past year as well, is that project panning allows you to be very creative. So creative in how you use products, creative in how you combine products, creative in so many different ways. Realistically, there are endless possibilities when it comes to project panning. I have been using bronzers as eyeshadows, and I've been using eyeshadows as blush toppers, and I just think that it just goes to show that makeup doesn't have any rules whatsoever, and that you can combine any color, you can combine any formulas you want, and you can just play with your makeup and it not be about having to purchase something new in order to get that result, or to have that fun time to experiment with makeup, or to get that joy out of makeup. And I think that that's been a really special part of project panning for me personally. I feel like there's so much more that I could touch on, but the last point that I really want to make is that for me personally, what I have learned over the last year is that it's really important to create goals or objectives. So whether that is an end goal of hitting pan on a product, or if that is an end goal of using a product once a week, or something like that, I think that that makes project panning so much more attainable and so much more realistic for my personal lifestyle. And that's something that I only really recently realized. I just used to be like, okay, I'm going to use this product all the time, no matter what. And then I would get so bored of it, and then I would just kind of throw it away, not throw it away, but stop using it for a long time, and I wasn't reaching any sort of progress on certain items. So I think that by creating a goal of reaching for an item even 4 times a month, it means that you're using it 4 more times than you might have potentially used, and it really feels like you are making an accomplishment and you are really making progress because you're hitting that goal or you're getting very close to that goal. And that's something that is so important in my personal project panning journey that I'm so happy that I have been implementing for myself lately. Like, if I want to hit pan on a product, it doesn't matter how long it takes me to do that. I need to get to that point, and I'm going to focus on using that product from time to time so that I can attain that goal. And so I think that that's a really important thing about project panning, at least within my own personal experience. I don't think that that's for everyone. Like I said, everyone's journey is different, but that is something that I have personally learned, and I think that that has changed the game for me completely. I feel like there is so much more that I have learned through project panning, but when I really sat down and thought about everything that I've learned, these are the things that I really didn't see from like my outsider's perspective before I really started this journey. So I think that these are some really key takeaways from my personal experience. I definitely want to hear what your experiences of project panning have been like, what your journey's been like, what you've learned about your own style, or what you've learned about the community as a whole. And yeah, that's absolutely everything for today's video. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this journey with me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.